Welcome to my video on how I painted Neptune for Resident Evil the board game by Steam-Forged Games. This was a really fun model to paint despite only using a few colors. I tried out some new techniques and learned a lot from this one. First I sprayed an undercoat, then painted a base layer of gray Seer. Next, for the gray skin, I used Carchardon gray for the base coat. For the white portion of the skin, I used Trooper White. For the mouth, I used Perisher Pink. I decided to paint over the teeth as well, just to make sure I got the entire gum line. For the teeth, I went back to Trooper White. Next, to bring out those skin details, I applied an all-over shade of Nuln Oil. I brought the colors back up in two different ways. First, for the gray skin, I dry brushed it with Carchardon gray to bring out those textured details. I may have gone a little too heavy on the dry brush though, so be careful if you try that yourself. For the white skin, since it's more smooth and less textured than the gray skin, I slowly layered the color back up with some Trooper White, starting on the most raised areas and moving towards the flatter areas while staying away from the shade in the recesses. I followed the same technique with the gums using Perisher Pink again, only in the most flat and raised areas. For the teeth, I went back over them with Trooper White as well, and then did a small highlight on them with White Star, just to catch the straightest edges and tips of the teeth. For the water, I went a little experimental. I've never painted a water effect before, so after looking at plenty of reference material, I decided on a 3-color scheme of contrast paints, each getting lighter than the other. I used Terradon Turquoise, Akhelian Green, and Kroxidor Scales. My process was starting with the darker color towards the bottom of the water, the next color towards the middle, and then before painting the highest splashes, I added some Trooper White on the highest parts of the water, which then I painted over with Kroxidor Scales, which was the lightest color. The contrast paints do a great job of blending together and creating their own shading, especially on textured patterns like the water. I recommend you add them to your own paint collection for sure. To add some additional effects, I filled in the scars on Neptune using a thinned down white star to make them stand out. Once all that was dry, I used Ardcoat over the water and some in Neptune's eyes to give it a glossy effect, and I was quite happy with how it turned out. So that's how I painted Neptune. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll keep making them. My next video will be on how I painted Plant 42, so stay tuned.